In the late 1960s, Anneliese Michel, a 16-year-old German teenager, underwent a rapid and harrowing decline of her mental health. She began suffering from blackouts, convulsions that caused her body to shake uncontrollably, and by the age of 20, was hearing voices while becoming intolerant to objects of religious nature. Her parents, extremely religious themselves, first turned to conventional medicine, where a neurologist diagnosed Anneliese with temporal lobe epilepsy, a disorder that causes seizures, loss of memory, and the experience of visual and auditory hallucinations. After the medication she was given seemingly had no positive effects, her condition continued to deteriorate. Ripping the clothes off her body, compulsively performed up to 400 squats a day, crawled under a table and barked like a dog for 2 days. She also ate spiders and coal, bit the head off a dead bird, and licked her own urine from the floor. There was only one conclusion to be drawn. Anneliese had to be possessed by a demon. The exorcisms that followed, 67 in total, was a 10-month ordeal of torture for the young woman, which tragically ended in her death at the age of 23 of malnutrition and dehydration on July 1, 1976. The priests involved were sentenced to suspended prison time for negligence, and the case that sparked a debate on the intersection of religion and science, particularly in the context of mental health. But more on that later. The case of Anneliese Michel is one of the most well-known examples of possession, and due to the widespread media coverage of the case, it brought the phenomenon to the attention of the wider public. So, what is demonic possession? Well, it's actually as said. Demonic possession is defined when an individual's body, mind, or spirit becomes a vessel for a malevolent supernatural entity, typically a demon or evil spirit. How does demonic possession happen? The process isn't instantaneous and unfolds gradually over months or even years. It's a slow burn, methodically manipulating its way into a person's life, meticulously breaking them down both mentally and physically until the opportune moment arises to seize total control. These are the 8 stages of demonic possession. Identification. The journey begins with the recognition of a vulnerable individual and the potential for demonic influence due to perceived weakness that a demon can exploit. This involves astute observers noticing subtle shifts in behavior or unspoken signs that go beyond ordinary human struggles. Observation. Once identified, the demon enters a watchful phase, assessing the individual's weaknesses and susceptibilities. It carefully chooses opportune moments to exert influence, studying the target with a keen eye for the most effective means of manipulation. Infiltration. The initial subtle influence commences as the demon subtly impacts the individual's thoughts and emotions. The possession initiates, and the entity becomes proactive in its approach, laying the groundwork for deeper influence. Enticement. The demon entices the individual to engage in behaviors aligning with its malevolent nature, deepening the connection. This phase involves gradual erosion of mental resilience through manipulation, leading to self-destructive behaviors, harmful thought patterns, hallucinations, and signs of psychosis. Strengthening bond. As the person succumbs to the lure, the bond between them and the demon strengthens. The entity feeds on negative energy, becoming more intertwined with the individual's psyche and emotions. Signs of physical influence emerge, with convulsions, levitations, and unexplained twitches indicating the initial physical manifestation. Manifestation. The possession becomes palpable as the demon's characteristics manifest within the person. Witnesses grasp the severity of the situation as the demon and its victims merge into a single entity. Uncharacteristic behaviors evolve into distinct manifestations. Distorted voices, contorted movement, violent tendencies, and animalistic traits dominate, signaling a profound transformation. Struggle. The victim, with the last of their strength, may resist the possession, resulting in a struggle for control between the person's will and the demonic influence. Unfortunately for most, at this point, the evil influence is now too strong, which leads to dominance. The demon achieves total dominance, gaining full control over the individual's mind and body. manifesting its own desires and characteristics without any meaningful resistance. While the victim will still have a level of awareness, they are now merely a passenger, a powerless voyeur, a speck in the physical form that was once theirs. The dark metamorphosis is now complete, but there's still hope. An exorcism is the process in which there is an attempt to expel or exorcise the invading demon from the vessel it has corrupted. Rooted in ancient religious traditions, this ritualistic confrontation with the supernatural is a desperate and often dramatic attempt to reclaim the besieged individual from the clutches of the malevolent forces. The exorcist, usually a priest or person of faith, challenges the entity with specific religious weaponry, such as a Bible, cross, or holy water. The ritual unfolds in a sacred space, often marked by prayers, incantations, and symbolic gestures that hold deep significance within the given religious framework. It's important to note, though, that the process of expelling a demon and the objects used can vary greatly based on the culture. Different belief systems bring unique perspectives to the exorcism, influencing the methods employed and the symbolism attached to each element. For example, some cultures may incorporate traditional music, sacred herbs, or specific rituals passed down through generations. This battle can last for weeks, months, or even years, as the fight unfolds like a long struggle between the visible world and unseen forces. The duration of an exorcism is often determined by the tenacity of the possessing entity and the resilience of the individual under its influence. The more powerful the invader, the more entrenched its grip on the victim, requiring a sustained and arduous effort to weaken and eventually expel it. At the culmination of an exorcism, two distinct outcomes emerge: either the successful expulsion of the demon, restoring the possessed individual to their ordinary state, or the entity perseveres, unyielding, and retains the ability to manifest its malevolent desires within its newly established permanent residence. While the case of Anneliese Michel brought the idea of demonic possession into the mainstream, the concept has a rich and varied history, deeply interwoven with religious, cultural, and mythological beliefs across civilizations. In ancient Mesopotamia, a region often considered one of the earliest cradles of civilization, the Sumerians and Babylonians possessed a complex belief system. Disturbances in behavior and health were viewed through the lens of potential divine displeasure. These ancient cultures believed that illnesses and psychological afflictions could be attributed to the influence of malevolent spirits or deities seeking to punish or torment individuals. While specific instances of demonic possession may not be explicitly documented, the available historical records, including cuneiform inscriptions, highlight a connection between perceived disturbances and divine intervention in the daily lives of the people. The Sumerians and Babylonians often turned to rituals and offerings to appease these unseen forces, demonstrating their profound belief in the influence of the supernatural on human affairs. In ancient Egypt, a civilization renowned for its intricate religious beliefs, the concept of possession was intricately woven into their cosmology. Egyptians associated erratic behavior and unexplained illnesses with the displeasure of deities or the presence of malevolent spirits. For example, the Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and rituals, emphasizes the importance of navigating the afterlife and avoiding the wrath of supernatural entities. Rituals and ceremonies were conducted to appease these entities, showing the Egyptians' commitment to restoring harmony to the afflicted. The belief in possession in ancient Egypt extended to the meticulous burial practices and funerary rites, reflecting their understanding of the continued influence of spirits beyond the realm of the living. In ancient Greece, a civilization celebrated for its contributions to philosophy and mythology, beliefs in possession were deeply ingrained in their cultural fabric. Greeks attributed specific mental and physical conditions to the influence of malevolent spirits or divine entities. The concept of miasma, a form of spiritual pollution, was thought to lead to various afflictions, and rituals and purifications became integral to their spiritual practices. The play Bacchae by Euripides serves as an example of the Greeks exploring the theme of possession, portraying the god Dionysus inducing madness in the women of Thebes. The rituals performed during festivals like the Eleusinian Mysteries further exemplify the Greeks' attempts to ward off spiritual influences. The intricate interplay between the divine and the human in Greek culture underscores the pervasive belief in the impact of supernatural forces on individual well-being. The Judeo-Christian tradition, as illustrated in the Bible, has profoundly influenced the Western perspective on demonic possession. The New Testament, a pivotal part of Christian scripture, contains vivid accounts of Jesus performing exorcisms. These biblical narratives have played a crucial role in shaping the Christian belief in the reality of possession by demonic forces. The influence of the Bible on preconceptions or possessions is evident in the Gospels, where Jesus encounters individuals believed to be possessed by demons. One notable account of this is found in Gospel of Mark, Mark 5, 1-20, where Jesus encounters a man possessed by a legion of demons. The dialogue and actions in these passages showcase the belief in demonic influence and the subsequent exorcism performed by Jesus. Beyond specific narratives, the broader theological framework of the Bible contributes to the Christian understanding of possession. Concepts such as the fall, the presence of evil in the world, and the ongoing spiritual battle between good and evil reinforce the idea that demonic forces can exert influence on individuals. During the Middle Ages, belief in demonic possession did indeed reach a peak in Europe. The influence of the Church during this period played a central role in shaping perceptions of supernatural phenomena, including demonic possession. Outbreaks of mass hysteria and the infamous witch trials are well-documented historical events that led to numerous accusations of possession. The Church's authority and teachings during the Middle Ages heavily emphasized the reality of spiritual warfare, with the belief that individuals could become vessels for demonic entities. The concept of possession was often invoked to explain aberrant behavior, illnesses, or events deemed beyond the natural order. The outbreaks of mass hysteria, such as the Dancing Plague of 1518 in Strasbourg, illustrate how communities, influenced by religious beliefs, interpreted unusual events as signs of demonic influence. The Church's response to such occurrences often involved exorcisms and attempts to cast out perceived demons. The witch trials, notably the European witch hunts from the late 15th to the 18th century, were marked by widespread accusations of witchcraft and demonic possession. Individuals, primarily women, were often accused of making pacts with the devil and hosting demonic entities within them. These accusations led to countless trials, and many were executed under the belief that they were possessed by evil forces. With the advent of the Renaissance, a notable shift occurred in European thought, marked by a move toward more rational and scientific explanations for various phenomena. During this period, the influence of the Church gradually waned, and there emerged a growing tendency to explore naturalistic and empirical approaches to understanding the world. The Renaissance, characterized by a revival of interest in classical learning and the arts, fostered a renewed appreciation for human reason and inquiry. This intellectual climate set the stage for the Enlightenment, a movement emphasizing reason, skepticism, and the scientific method. In this changing intellectual landscape, the traditional beliefs in demonic possession and supernatural explanations for mental and physical phenomena began to give way for more secular and scientific perspectives. The emergence of early medical and psychological theories paved the way for our understanding of mental illnesses in terms of physiological and psychological factors rather than attributing them solely to supernatural causes. In the 19th century, there was a notable resurgence of interest in the occult and spiritualism, characterized by a fascination with communicating with the spirit world. During this era, some individuals claimed to possess the ability to channel spirits, and cases of purported demonic possession were reported, frequently linked to seances and other spiritualistic practices. Spiritualism gained popularity as a movement that sought to establish communication with the deceased, often through mediums who claimed to act as intermediaries between the living and the spirit realm. Seances, where individuals gathered to contact spirits, became common practice during this period. Reports of supposed demonic possession emerged in connection with these spiritualistic activities. The lines between spiritual communication and malevolent influence blurred, with some individuals attributing unusual behaviors or manifestations to demonic forces during seances. These cases fueled both public fascination and apprehension about the potential consequences of engaging in spiritualistic practices. In the modern Western world, there has been a widespread acceptance and reliance on medicine and science to explain various phenomena, including mental and physical health conditions. Advances in medical research, neuroscience, and psychology have contributed to a paradigm shift, moving away from supernatural explanations such as demonic possessions to more evidence-based, empirical approaches. Mental illnesses that could have been attributed to possession are now understood within the framework of psychiatry and psychology. Diagnostic criteria, therapeutic interventions, and pharmaceutical treatments are informed by scientific research, leading to a more nuanced understanding of mental health conditions. However, it's essential to recognize that beliefs about demonic possession persist in various cultural contexts around the world, particularly in regions where traditional or religious frameworks heavily influence societal perspectives. In some non-Western cultures, the idea of demonic possession remains a valid explanation for certain behaviors or afflictions. For instance, in some parts of Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, cultural and religious beliefs continue to play a significant role in shaping perceptions of illness. Demonic possession may be considered an explanation for certain mental health symptoms or behaviors that deviate from societal norms. Traditional healing practices, including exorcisms or rituals conducted by religious leaders, may still be sought as interventions. The canvas of demonic possession continues to evolve, painted by the brushstrokes of cultural exchange, globalization, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. Whether viewed as a relic of superstition or a poignant expression of the human spirit, the art of demonic possession invites us to peer into the shadows of our collective imagination, urging us to unravel the mysteries that dwell at the intersection of the supernatural and the human experience.